Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So as a person who watches TikTok videos so that you don't have to, we need to talk. So the SAVE Act just passed the House of Representatives. I know it sounds so harmless because it's SAVE Act or even helpful, but what it really does, especially if you're a woman. Okay, let me just break this down for you. Under this bill, if you ever changed your name, like let's say after getting married, you could lose your right to vote. You heard that right. So with this bill, when you go to register to vote, and this has to happen in person only. By the way, you will need your birth certificate and your passport. And get this, both documents must match the exact name that you're currently using. So if you changed your last name after marriage and didn't go through the insane process of updating every single document, you are out. No vote for you. And no, this isn't law yet. There might still be time to stop this. So in the next few minutes, you're gonna see reactions from TikTok creators who are sounding the alarm. These clips are breaking it down. You understand this better, offering ways to push this back and showing you just how unsafe this bill is, especially if you're a woman. It's like they're coming after women this time around. Please don't skip any video. I go through a lot finding you these clips, you guys. At least make sure you watch at least half of this video. I'll leave my own 2 cents at the end of this video. Please watch these clips. Let's watch them together actually.
Today, the SAVE has to pass the House, and next it's going to be moved to the Senate, and if it does pass the Senate, it'll get on the president's table, blah, blah, blah. He'll sign it. It becomes law. I'm not here to educate you on what the SAVE Act is. We have had plenty of education about it now. Please look it up on TikTok if you need some more help. I think we're first going to see a rise in women who don't vote because they're unable to. And then in due time, we're going to see a rise of women who choose to not take their husband's last names or choose to change their last name back to their maiden last name, just so then they're able to vote. I'm also thinking this happening at the same time as Real IDs coming up, which would have the star to prove citizenship. That's not an accident either. Because your Real ID will probably also be a document that you can use. That is, if you have your maiden last name, you could probably use it. I'm curious to know how many documents it will require you to show proof of, because if it's just one, the birth certificate will be the easiest to show, but it probably will be the hardest to obtain. Passports take a fat minute to get, right? Same thing with actual papers. Like this is going to cause some serious chaos. Some real serious chaos.
Yep, he did it. He did it. He did an executive order preempting the SAVE Act to overhaul the voting system, which will knock out about 90% of voters that are women, because now we got to prove our citizenship. So let me tell you guys what you need to do. You need to go out and get the fucking passport cards that are $30. I mean, this is ridiculous. And for you Republican women who voted for him, look how he just you on your vote. So, because it's not a household, it's not a woman's vote. I'm not taking a woman's vote. You should look at it like it's a household vote with your husband making the final decision for you. That's what you wanted? That's what you wanted. That's what you wanted to pass down to your daughter? That's what you wanted. I am just at a loss here. You wanted your daughter to get in it. Let me tell you something. And I'm just going to be honest with you, and we need to have a real home talk about the church. And we know that some of these men in churches are fucked up. Not all of them, but some of them are. And some of them do stuff that is just ridiculous to women, right? And you are going to teach your daughter to accept a man that's whooping her and going out and sleeping with other women, and that she's supposed to just suck that up, and to be financially dependent on that man as well. And if that's the life that you want for your daughter, because that's what you had, then you were just as the one who taught you that.
And since we're talking about debunking myths, let's talk about the SAVE Act, which is quite popular. A lot of people are talking about it. For the most part, it can't be done. However, I am excited about the fact that the law, which the Republicans were passed, which is essentially would be a solution in search for a problem, because it's already against the law to vote if you're not a United States citizen. And each state already has their own laws related to voting. There's no need for a national law. But it gets people excited, agitated, annoyed, riled up, engaged, activated to talk to their neighbors, to
rally against what could be a law which would essentially disenfranchise lots of women who change their names, students who are not necessarily in their home state, transient folks, people of color, folks who are marginalized, who don't have opportunity to get a license, and the essentially a good chunk of Democratic base. The efforts from the Republicans to require voter ID nationwide has always been, historically been, a disenfranchised mechanism to get members of the Democratic base challenged, because in the history of the United States, there's been very few instances of people voting unlawfully and creating voter fraud. And the few times they have been, it's been for Republicans. But yet Republicans are the ones that are so hell-bent on trying to do these voter ID laws. Now, here's the thing. It passed in the House. It only needs a simple majority to pass. And it technically only needs a simple majority in the Senate. However, because it's that type of bill, any Democrat could actually invoke a filibuster and essentially cause it to be debated until the end of the legislative session, and it never ever passes out of the Senate and never gets voted on. And unlike the filibusters of the bygone era, during the Strom Thurmond era, when he was talking for 24 hours trying to stop the passage of the 1960s Civil Rights Acts, the filibusters nowadays only require only one member to essentially hit a card button and say debate continues, and they don't even have to actually physically debate. They could just turn in their card or whatever it is, and they say this is symbolic of us saying we're going to debate endlessly and debate on paper, and they don't have to stand there. And we can just do that until the end of the legislative session. And in order to stop that process, you need 60 votes, which is called cloture. And the Republicans don't have 60 votes. So in essence, the SAVE Act can't ever pass, not this legislation, probably won't ever pass. And it's very unpopular. And it's unpopular for a Republican Party that right now is facing the angst of their own party, not including just the rest of the world, because they greenlit all of Donald Trump's troublesome, inept cabinets that are ruining the country along with him, and enabling him. Pam Bondi, we also vote all of those guys, Christine Noem, those inept, everybody, Pete Hegseth, that's Republicans voted for him. They gave up all the political capital to let Donald Trump's cabinet picks go in, RFK Jr., all of them, and then defending Elon Musk. You saw the town hall meetings, and then you have this horrible budget where essentially they're going to give tax cuts. They're trying to take away Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security to pay for tax cuts for the wealthy, again, which is very unpopular. Their approval rating for the Republican Party and the Republicans are terrible, so this SAVE Act is dead in the water. So they shouldn't be promoting anymore, but I am happy that they're promoting it. I'm happy that it's been a way to people to rally around support. Keep doing it, even though you know it most likely can't pass. It's still a great energizing force, and we need to keep those energizing forces right up to the 2026 midterms, so we can formally and finally and officially remove Donald Trump if he doesn't get removed. If the Republicans don't grow a backbone and get tired of losing all their money in the government and the world and the United States being driven into the ground, that they don't say, enough of you. Out, and they realize Donald Trump's power and pull is dissolved until he dissolves. And Mike Johnson, he's a weakling. He's gonna lose. He's about to lose the majority soon. He's about to lose his speakership soon, and having never ever passed the budget. The budget that they're kicking the can down the road, the continuing resolution, has been Nancy Pelosi's budget. He's been speaker for how long, and he has yet to pass an actual full budget. We're still just kicking the can down the road because he's weak, and he's weak, and he doesn't, and he decides to leave it at that. Like my setup, my little setup. I love my little setup, my little light.
All right, they did it. They voted for the SAVE Act. Every Republican in the House voted to take away your right to vote. Make sure you use the next election to make your voice heard, because those who sat around, let's see how easy it is going to be for you to vote them out next term.
What if I told you that simply changing your last name after marriage could put your right to vote at risk? That's exactly what could happen under the new SAVE Act, H.R. 22. This bill claims to be about election security, but in reality, it creates unnecessary hurdles that could disenfranchise millions of eligible voters, especially married women, working class citizens, and communities of color. Here's how it works. The SAVE Act would require proof of citizenship every single time someone registers to vote or updates their registration. But for millions of married women, like myself, who take their spouse's last name, their birth certificate no longer matches their legal name. So now, in addition to a birth certificate, they might also need a marriage certificate, a court order, or even multiple forms of ID just to prove they are who they say they are. How many people carry around all these documents just to exercise a constitutional right? And let's talk about accessibility. Not everyone has a passport, and replacing lost documents isn't cheap or easy. Some states charge up to $50 for a birth certificate replacement and even more for legal name change records. This puts an unfair burden on working class Americans, single parents, and elderly voters who may struggle to track down or afford the necessary paperwork. And for women who have been married more than once, the process becomes even more complicated. This is not about protecting elections. It's about making it harder to vote. The Brennan Center for Justice calls this bill one of the most restrictive voting proposals in recent history because it disproportionately impacts women, low-income Americans, and people who may not have easy access to their citizenship documents. It's voter suppression, disguised as election security. So let's be real. Should changing your last name, losing a document, or not having a passport stop you from voting? Or is this just another way to make it harder for certain people to cast a ballot?
So you're telling me that all the liberal women who refused to change their last names when they got married are going to benefit from the new Republican laws banning women from voting if they've changed their names?
Have you guys heard about the SAVE Act? So here's the thing. See, a lot of y'all gonna be upset. Oh my God, the SAVE Act! But don't. So if you haven't heard, the SAVE Act is legislation that Congress has passed that says that you need to prove that you are a citizen in order to vote, which we already had to prove that we were citizens before we could vote. But whatever. It's just another way to suppress votes. And whose votes are they suppressing this time? Women. Now, I told y'all a long time ago, Project 2025 was coming for women's suffrage. And boom, here comes the SAVE Act. Now, the problem with the SAVE Act and how it's suppressing women's right to vote is if you got married and you changed your last name, the only way you can prove that you are a citizen is if you have a passport. Because your name has to match the name that was on your birth certificate. Which means if you don't have a passport, you'd either have to buy a passport or you don't vote. Now, I know you're thinking, this sounds awful. This is crazy. I don't know. Here's why people in Congress are stupid. See, they were thinking that women vote majority for Democrats. What they didn't think about is the fact that single women vote majority for Democrats. Married women are the ones who vote Republican. See, you don't have to be smart to be a politician. You just have to be popular or have money. See, money can make you popular. It can put you in front of people. It puts you on their TV screen so they vote for you. But you don't have to be smart. You don't have to know statistics. So if you're wondering why your government officials are so damn dumb, that's why. They don't have to go to school. They don't have to be intelligent. They don't have to do anything but be popular. They just suppress their own voting base. And most people who have money vote Democrat. Those are the people who would be able to afford a passport. Good job, guys.
If you like voting, if you care about voting, and you'd like to keep your right to vote, then this post is for you. House Republicans are looking at the SAVE Act again, and it's a bill that would require proof of citizenship to vote in federal elections. Sounds harmless, right? Well, it's not. It is already illegal to vote if you are a non-citizen. And there is no widespread fraud that's been found. The bill, which claims to be protecting elections, is actually just making it harder for American citizens to vote. And here's what they don't want you to realize. If you're a woman who changed your name after marriage, get ready to have your life be even more difficult. This bill would force people to show documentation that matches exactly, meaning your ID, your birth certificate, and your voter registration must match up 100%, or you could get flagged, you could get questioned, or you could get blocked from voting altogether. Women who change their last names from marriage, divorce, or just living their damn life are at higher risk of being disenfranchised. So let's be real. The SAVE Act has nothing to do about citizenship and everything to do with suppressing your voice, especially women, people of color, natural born citizens, and young voters. Don't let them gaslight you and don't let them steal your vote.
Meanwhile, while we're distracted by the tariffs, the House just passed the SAVE Act today. And if you think this doesn't affect you, especially as a U.S. citizen, keep listening. This law will require you to show documentary proof of citizenship, like a passport or birth certificate, just to register or update your voter registration for federal elections. Supporters are calling it election security, but there's no widespread evidence of non-citizen voting. What it does is it creates barriers for the people who already live here, vote here, and pay taxes here. Millions could be affected, especially those who are poor, rural, indigenous, and dealing with complicated documentation. And here is what they really don't say out loud. This bill will make it harder for women to vote. If you have ever changed your name because of marriage or divorce and your documents do not match across the board, this law could disqualify you even if you're a natural born citizen, because the system wasn't built for your flexibility. It was built to filter. And remember, I was panicking about my passport card and my passport. I got this done way ahead of time because, again, Project 2025, what they're doing is a pattern and it's predictable. Y'all don't see that? So, look, if you ain't got your passport yet, you might not want to wait. Tap my link tree for clarity sessions, planning tools, and also the global move tools. This ain't panic, it's preparation.
Okay, so let's talk about this. The good news is that the SAVE Act is not the law of the land yet. It has only passed the House of Representatives, and as we speak, it's still on its way to the Senate. That means there's still time to call, time to organize, and time to raise awareness. If there's one thing this moment proves, is that silence is no longer an option, because what just happened is the very thing that 92% of Black American women have been warning this country about for years, especially when it comes to how voter suppression laws sneak under the radar. But this time, it's not just going after one community. This time, every woman in America is in the crosshairs, whether she realizes it or not. So here is why this is so serious. If the SAVE Act becomes law, every woman who has legally changed her last name after marriage could be disqualified from voting unless she has every single official document updated to match that new name exactly. That means your birth certificate and your passport must reflect the name you use now. If they don't, you can't register, you can't vote, period. So let's just think about that for a moment. This isn't just inconvenience. This is voter suppression dressed up in red, white, and blue disguise, and it's going to hit millions of women, married women, who thought their names were just a normal part of tradition. And yes, before you ask, this affects Republic women, Democrat women, independent women. Doesn't matter who you voted for or what party you back. If you're married and change your last name, you are suddenly a problem in the eyes of the bill. Okay, so this is a kind of far from moment that people talk about, F around and find out. And right now, a lot of people, especially women who supported the same lawmakers who are now pushing this, are finding out the hard way, because what seemed like just another voting bill is turning out to be one of the most aggressive attacks on women's rights in recent years. And it's happening without single pew pew, without a single protest, without a single headline on the news. It's happening through paperwork, bureaucracy, name matching. It's happening quietly and intentionally. Okay, so what are we going to see next? More women are going to start refusing to change their names after marriage, probably. More couples keeping their own last names to avoid this headache altogether, almost guaranteed. Because let's be honest, the SAVE Act just made the act of taking your spouse's name into a potential political liability. That's just inconvenient. That's an insult. Okay? And here's a widest thought. If this bill becomes law, what happens to someone like the first lady? Okay, Melania. Let's say her passport and her birth certificate don't match her current name. Would even she be denied the right to vote? Would the first lady of the United States, someone like living in the White House, be turned away from the polls? The truth is, under this bill's rules, the answer is yes, no exception. And that tells you everything you need to know about how reckless and dangerous this legislation really is. Yeah. But let me bring it back to the part I told you earlier. This is not over yet. Right now, it's sitting with the Senate. And we don't know how they'll vote. But we do know they're watching, they're listening. So if you've been watching this video and any other video, and they are feeling frustrated, scared, or just tired of the way women keep getting dragged into political crossfires, then let your voice be heard. Write to your senators, call them, email them, organize, educate, share this video, because the thing about bills like this, they rely on people not paying attention. They count on our confusion, our exhaustion, our empathy. Yeah. And they hope we'll look the other way until it's too late. But history has shown us something else too. When women are pushed too far, we rise, we organize, we vote harder, we run for office, we mobilize entire generations. So if the intention of this bill was to silence women, they just might have sparked the loudest reaction they'll ever see. Yeah, because here is what they forget. Women have carried this country on their backs for centuries, especially the black women. They fought for every single right we've ever seen, had. We don't, black American don't scare easy. You cannot scare them so easily. And we sure as hell don't give up our vote without a fight. I'm speaking on behalf of the black Americans, okay? I'm not even in America, so yeah, I'm speaking on behalf of them. I'm a black person, I understand them. I love them. I love you, my black American sisters and brothers. Yeah. So this moment is our reminder that democracy only works when we protect it, when we stay informed, when we show up, even when the system tries to shut us out. So let this be a wake-up call. Let this be a moment we stop waiting for someone else to fix it, because this time it's all about women, and especially every woman who ever changed her name for love, only to be told it cost her voice, her voting right. Yeah. So if you found this video interesting, please make sure you leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely see you in my next video. Please stay peaceful.